Welcome back to She Can, where women lead by example. We interview women from all walks of life and different parts of the world to hear their stories, because it's easier to be what you can see. Our women role models guide and support you on your journey. And I'm very excited to talk to Anneliek Sijbrandij today. Anneliek, you're the director and founder of the Verbier Art Summit in Switzerland, and you're living and working in the Netherlands. The Verbier Art Summit is a non-for-profit platform for innovation and change through art. So you connect leading thinkers to the art world with a focus on generating innovative ideas and drive social change. This year's theme is Quarter-Life Crisis, Art in a World on the Brink, which I think is very fitting with what's going on, which is taking place on the 4th and 5th of April in Verbier. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, Anneliek. How did you get to where you are today? What are the pivotal points that made you start the Verbier Art Summit?
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And that is indeed a correct summary of the Verbier Art Summit. So I was actually living in Verbier on a sabbatical and met many art collectors from all over the world. And together we kind of came up with this idea to give art a bigger platform and then focus on the cultural value of art. So instead of the commercial value, which is often highlighted obviously everywhere in the press, but also through all the art fairs all across the world, we thought, why don't we give a bigger platform to artist ideas? And we started it in 2017 in collaboration with the Stedelijk Museum Amsterdam. And what we do is we mix indeed artists with thinkers like philosophers, writers, academics, to come up with ideas that can benefit not only the art world, but also the wider society.
Which is amazing, Anneliek. So tell us a little bit more about this year's one coming up at the beginning of April. How did you come up with this theme? What does this theme mean? What do these 2 days look like? Who's coming to talk?
Yep. Yeah. So actually, what we generally do is, so we always work with a big international museum. We started with the Netherlands because that was easy, as I'm from the Netherlands, and then we worked with Moderna Museum from Stockholm, then Pinacoteca de Sao Paulo, the Dia Art Foundation in New York, and now we are collaborating with the UCCA Center for Contemporary Art in China. Mm-hmm. And the museum director, Philip Tinari, already came to our last in-person summit, which mm-hmm. was actually in 2020. And this was January time, and he was flying back to China and said, oh, I've got some troubles. And little did we know what was coming next, obviously. So I've been talking with him for a number of years about this theme. We did digital summits in 21 and 22 because it was still Corona. Yeah. And then in January 2023, we wanted to launch a new in-person event together with this museum from China, but it was still lockdown in China. So you cannot even imagine that anymore now, but it was. And then we wanted to relaunch in 24. And then the commune actually asked us, so the municipality of Verbier, can you change it to a date when there's a big dip in our winter season? And this is typically what we love to do. So we have an international platform of high-level art thinkers, but we actually want to be very meaningful to the local society. So we said, okay, let's change to April. And now our upcoming edition for the first time is in April 4th and 5th. And the theme, Quarter-Life Crisis, well, when we developed this theme, so a couple of years back, we didn't realize we would be in such a crisis as we are now, obviously. But the idea is that Generation Z, when they turn 25 years old, they often have an existential life crisis. Mm. And they are worried about all the geopolitical tensions. They are worried about the digital acceleration. And they are concerned about the multiplicity of identities, because you can be anywhere in the world, you can be anyone, you can now even change your gender, everything is possible, and that actually creates a lot of anxiety. Mm. And the museum director, Philip Tinari, said, now as humanity, we're also 25 years into the 21st century. And like Generation Z, for us, everything is in crisis and we're actually suffering from the same problems as they do. So that was a starting point for this year's edition. And we will open, obviously, with some Chinese artists, the event. And actually, we will close it also with a Chinese artist. And then we have a mix of other thinkers. So, for example, we have the artist Zanele Moholi, and they are coming from South Africa, are very focused on Black queer identity. So perfect in line with the theme. Then we have, for example, Dana Awartani. She is of Palestinian descent and now splits her time between Saudi Arabia and the US. And she works a lot with cultural heritage to look at the issues of today. We also have artists like Lawrence Leck, who is very focused on AI. So here the digital element comes in. And we mix them, as we said, with other thinkers. So, for example, Kyle Chaika, he's a writer for The New Yorker. And he's just written an amazing book, which I recommend everybody to read. It's called Filter World, how algorithms flattened culture. So his ideas are not only explaining how in our social media worlds we are obviously influenced by this algorithm that shows us whatever the algorithm decides is relevant instead of your friends or your peers or people that you actually find interesting. But he says, actually, for example, in the music world, now, if you want to create a new song, you need to have a catchy moment in the first 30 seconds, because otherwise you don't become a hit on TikTok. And if you don't become a hit on TikTok, you don't become a hit anymore. So even outside of this digital world, society gets really influenced by algorithms. And obviously he will come up with some suggestions of how we can change this. And then we have a very interesting professor in neurology from EPFL University, Olaf Blanke, who will explain how they use art mixed with science to even think about issues like tinnitus and solving that with using different parts in your brain. And for example, a museum director from the Kunstmuseum Basel, Elena Filipovic. So it's really a mix of interesting thinkers that will all shed their light on this year's theme.
Anneliek, it's so impressive that you are able to bring people from all over the world on a table, such as the Palestinians, the South Africans, the Chinese. We have a new world order, and it's especially important now because it shows that we are more united than we are divided, and that we can bring it onto a cerebral level with thinkers from around the world that show us that there is so much more that unites us than divides us, and that this human experience is interesting and inspirational, and that there are so many conversations to be had. And I always feel the art world is really the world where things and people can come together, big visions.
For sure.
You figure out a lot of things, and there is a lot of innovators in that space, and that's exactly what we need. So I feel that you are obviously doing the Verbier Art Summit, but really it's something that's so much bigger, and it's something that shows us how we can bring people to the table together and have these important conversations and be inspired and motivated to take this out into the world, into all the other spaces that we inhabit. So Anneliek, tell me a little bit, you have those 2 days. Is there anything that then comes out of this that can be used to, educate or influence or inspire people that are not necessarily at the summit?
Exactly. Yeah. So also from a sustainability perspective, we don't want to make this gathering in Switzerland very big. So we actually limit it to 200 people that can attend the talks program in person in Verbier. The talks are open to the public for free. We also have a cultural program that is open to the public for free. And there they can do an art walk in the snow or go to the cinema and see films by some of our artists. There is a local art exhibition from 9 local artists that are reflecting on the theme. So we really try to connect the local with the global. And then we live stream all those talks. So the 20-minute presentations by our 12 invited speakers are live streamed on our virtual platform. And that is actually the platform that we do like to grow. So we now have people that follow it in 85 different countries. And that is why I'm also so happy to be on your platform, because we would love to expand this. And again, it's open to the public for free. We do like people to register so that they can be part of the journey, that they can connect with others, that you're focused on this conversation for the 2 days, even if it's only online. But yeah, really with this idea of creating the platform. After the event, the talks remain on our website, so people can still watch them on YouTube or on our own platform. And we ask all the speakers to document their ideas in the form of an essay, 2,500 words, which is then put together in a beautiful book by Irma Boom, who's also supporting our nonprofit, which is fantastic. And so their ideas are converted into this book that is then published by Walter Koenig, Frans Koenig Books actually, and distributed all over the world. So in many international museum bookshops, you can find the book, but also on some academic reading lists, which is great. And then we invite press to come to the summit as well, again with the idea that they write about it, maybe not in the art pages, but in the general pages, and inspire people that may not come across art normally with creative thinking and creative ideas.
Anneliek, so impressive. So we are going to have this link up as part of your story on YouTube, our website, and on our podcast. And so, Anneliek, what do you feel really matters to you, and how do you want to matter in the world that have led you to this?
Yeah, I just think that there's not enough time and space for people to really stop and think. And to be honest, that was the same for me. So I lived in London before I came to Verbier. I was working as a tax lawyer. I had 3 small children. I was busy with my life. And all of a sudden, I entered this inspirational mountain retreat and changed my view on life and thought about what really mattered to me. And that wasn't the job that I was in. So I completely changed careers and now focus on different social issues with each edition. But for example, after the Resource Hungry edition with Jessica Morgan, focused on the climate, we changed a lot of things in our own organization as well. So for example, even the speakers, if they are living in an area that you can travel by train within 6 hours, we don't give them a plane ticket to come to Verbier. And in the beginning, that was quite a shock to the system, because these are influential artists, who are generally treated very respectfully, obviously. But we said, but this is also important. So slowly but certainly, all of these elements also filter into our own organizations and in people's lives. And I'm just very happy to be able to provide this platform, the time, the space to think. And you can see change happening during the summit. For example, in 2019, when we collaborated with the museum from Brazil, it was an indigenous thinker, and she had never been in Europe before. And another artist that was there, Tania Bruguera from Cuba, who's a very activist artist, she said, oh, actually, I'm going to the UN on Monday because I was here in Switzerland. And I think, Naina Terena, you should come, you know, and they should hear about the indigenous issues in Brazil. So literally the next day after the summit, she was there talking to the UN about indigenous rights. And I think that is how the Verbier Art Summit platform can be powerful, by connecting all of these thinkers and ideas, and by connecting the issues to now I'm stuck.
Don't worry.
Yeah, but yeah, so by connecting other thinkers to artists, and together come up with ideas that can benefit us all.
Yeah. Anneliek, so give us some top tips to our younger women on how one can be more innovative and therefore also courageous, because it takes a certain curiosity, but also courageousness to step up to the point where you think you have something innovative to think or to say or to contribute.
Yeah, I think especially for the younger generation now, it's super important to just follow your heart. When I was studying, in the end, I took tax law as a subject because I felt, oh, that will be good later on in life. I can earn a good living with that, and I can help people that need it. But my heart was already in kind of more social change topics at the time. And I actually had this study that I was going to do, but I didn't dare to do it in the end because I was like, oh, what can I do with that afterwards? And then it took me 15 years to kind of change careers to what I really wanted to do. And especially now in a time of artificial intelligence, where jobs will change so quickly, and the current generation has no idea what all the jobs will look like once they have finished their studies. I would really recommend people to just follow their hearts, study or think about things that you are actually interested in, and then the rest will follow automatically.
Yeah, amazing. Anneliek, so what kind of a leader are you? How do you lead your team? How do you lead with being the founder of the summit? What kind of a leader do you want to be?
I think my leadership is really in the connection between people. So I get very happy when people from all over the world connect, either on our platform or if I can connect them later to other people. And I think this human connection is what is crucial, also at the Verbier Art Summit, but obviously in life in general. And that is also what made me really happy. Obviously, with a non-profit, it's a very different. Oh, no, sorry. I'm just going to have a sip of water in between.
Sure.
I'm not sure if I am really a leader, to be honest. I feel more like an organizer and bringing people together to connect and then together come up with ideas, rather than me as a leader steering them in some direction.
Anneliek, and what would you say are your main lessons or your main takeaways of the last year since 2017 of organizing the Verbier Art Summit, bringing all these people together? What are your sentiments of learnings that you take away from this experience or these experiences?
The main sentiment, I guess, is that you should be open to change all the time. So not only on the topics, but also within your team, obviously during COVID, on the broader scale, but the openness to change and the ideas, taking ideas from others on board is what creates real magic for me.
Beautiful. So what would you say are you most proud of to date?
The fact that we have the Verbier Art Summit books all over the world is really amazing. These ideas are worth spreading, and that we then have all of these amazing artists that help to produce the right content for the books, but also people that distribute it, produce it, and that these ideas can be taken on by a wide global public is just amazing, and not something I would have expected that would happen so soon. So I'm very proud of that. Obviously, now we're in a more video type world, and the video platform is also becoming more and more important. We had at the 2018 summit, the topic was all about the digital. And we had one of our speakers was Douglas Copeland, a very famous writer, artist. And he said, I think books are completely going to lose it. And in a few years' time, everybody will be solely focused on VR, because that world is so much better than, your imagination through a book. I'm very happy that now in 2025, we are still all reading books, even though the digital world is slowly taking over. But yeah, the book is definitely what I'm most proud of.
Anneliek, if you feel, if you look at your, your purpose, what do you feel are the biggest challenges that you have in doing what you do?
I once was at a dinner, and I was talking to another a museum director, actually. And I was saying, oh, it's so difficult to, get the funding right for the summit, and it's between public and private, and how do you do this? And then he said, oh, this is really the downside. If you're in the art world, people are always talking about funding and getting it right for your institution. And if you're a banker and you're sitting next to each other at dinner, you're actually talking about art. So this was, I thought, a very typical point, but very true. So for nonprofits, it's always difficult to get that combination right.
Yeah, that's true. So we've heard about your plans and your goals for 2025. What is the vision going forwards?
Yeah, so I think we would love to work with a museum from Africa for the next summit. And we already spoke to a very interesting artist that created a center, cultural center in Africa, that we're hoping will be our next museum director. The themes generally come out of the summit itself. So as soon as we bring together this group, you can already feel what everybody's thinking about, what will be going on next. And I would love to grow our international outreach. So I'm very happy this year. We also have amazing collaborations again with the New York Times, for example, who donate space to our platform, and other marketing and communications partnerships to spread the word. And this is why I'm also so happy to talk to you, Stephanie, because this is the only way how we can bring each other's ideas to a global outreach.
Yeah, Anneliek, and I'm so thankful for you to be here and tell your story and show us what is possible in bringing all these people together. So, what takeaways would you like our listeners to have from your story today?
Be inspired by others. Be open to new ideas. Look at artists, because they're often very creative and forward-thinking. And take the time and space to think. That is what I wish all of you.
And I love that. Anneliek, so if you could write a postcard to everybody in the world with one sentence, what would that sentence be?
Ooh. What would my sentence be if I write a postcard to everybody in the world? I need some time to think about this. What would be my message? Open your heart, open your mind.
I love that. What a beautiful finish, Anneliek. And thank you so much for telling your story today, for telling us all about the Verbier Art Summit. People will be able to log in from the link in your bio. Thank you for being a super connector, Anneliek, not just of people, but of ideas that lead to innovation and change and to solutions. Because only when we have all the different truths on the table can we find solutions that will be supporting a large amount of social issues and humans on this planet. So thank you so much for being with me today.
Great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.